Yo, what up? This is DB, and you're watching Team Focus Radio with So Focus.
Yeah! You know what it is, Team Focus Radio. I'm your host, So Focus. I'm back at NYC, Shade45 with my guy, DB. What's going on, man?
What up, man? I like that energy. DB here, too. Shit.
Oh, wait, yeah, you know, turn up. That's good. Okay. That's all good.
I guess I should have asked that before the interview.
Yeah, it's all good.
Fuck it, right?
So let's get to these questions real quick. So first of all, where you from?
Well, I was born here in the city in Manhattan, but then I moved to Texas, me and my mother, when I was young, and basically grew up there, went to school, went to college, and then came back around 2004, 2005, and I've been back in New York ever since then.
Dang. So what is it like growing up in New York, though? Or leaving New York?
Leaving New York was, I mean, I can't really say it was like hard because I was so young, and at the time, you know, I had a couple friends, but I was still in, you know, like kindergarten, first grade, so it really wasn't like that much of a hard decision for me to make. You know, my mom was like, look, we going out here, and that's the end of it. So, you know, her job relocated, so we went with her, and, you know, got to live in a house and had a backyard and all that other stuff. So it was a whole different culture shock, you know, compared to growing up in the city, you know what I mean, where it's like loud and noisy and it's cold and all that, and Texas is hot and quiet and spread out, and, you know what I mean, there's not that many buildings, people don't walk around, so, you know, kind of that became sort of what I was used to versus when I came back. It was like, oh, okay, you know, now I have to switch, you know, the energy, because here it's just everything's quick, and out there it's kind of just chill and relax and horses, and, you know, it's just very quiet. So
Definitely.
You know.
So I want to kind of get to the beginning of your career a little bit, because you used to be a DJ, correct?
Yeah, I started out as I never really had. Some people always have like a focused vision of what they want to do. Like, I want to be a DJ, I want to be a rapper, I want to be a behind the scenes guy or whatever. And me, it was just kind of like, I just want to do something within the entertainment industry. Didn't really have a specific job title in mind, but you know, when I came out to New York, I had a friend who was a promoter, and he, you know, we were, you know, in our early 20s at the time, and we were broke, and all we did was just go out, because he would throw a party and I would just drive him to whatever club or whatever we were going to. So literally that's all we did, like, for days end, and just party, sleep till the afternoon, get up, you know, get dressed, do it again, and that just became like the norm for us. And from there, it was just kind of like meeting people and networking and things, and seeing how, you know, the DJs kind of just like get in and they look cool and all that, and the promoters, they're also cool, and to know the door people is you look cool because you skip the line and all that. I'm like, all right, I kind of want to get in this, and I decided to pick up DJing and just learn from, you know, different people who I looked at as like really talented DJs. I don't want to just be like the guy who just got an opportunity just because he knew the right people. Right. I wanted to actually learn, so I would like practice in my room. You know, I've saved up and had some friends help me out and get turntables for me, you know what I mean, and learning how to place records and all that, and mix on beat and drop it on the one and all that stuff, scratching. Right. So I really wanted to learn the fundamentals and the techniques of actually DJing and be as good as the people that I looked up to and admired. And so from there, then just got into radio almost like by accident. It was just like one of my closest friends, DJ Wonder, who's a producer and DJ for Sway in the Morning, he just kind of felt bad for me because I wasn't doing anything with my life at the time. DJing was kind of just, it was going this way, and then it just went, and, you know, it happens. You know, sometimes you just hit a slump and you don't get booked for many gigs, and especially like during the winter out here, everybody stays home. You know, the clubs aren't that busy, not that many parties going on. People travel for the winter, so it's real slow. Nightlife slows down a lot, and so, you know, it was just kind of one of those things. He was like, we need to just get you out of the house and do something with your life, you know what I mean? Because I really was just, I had like no motivation, and he just suggested that I come up here because Angela Yee had just left to do Breakfast Club. Sway had come on board to replace her, and then it became Sway in the Morning. And he brought me on board, Wonder brought me in, and was just like, just do something, you know. There was really no guarantee of being on the air, or even that I would be like a personality or have like a segment of my own or anything. So that's just kind of what it turned out to be, because I proved to be an asset to the show with just like my movie knowledge and like, you know, quirky, nerdy trivia and things like that. So it was just totally by accident. I don't have no degree in broadcast journalism or anything like that, you know what I mean? Unlike the experience that everybody else has. So me, it was just like almost a weird coincidence that I just happened to show up here. So
definitely. But you've been around here for a couple of years now, right?
Yeah, it's been 7 years this past October.
Right.
Yeah.
So what advice do you give to somebody that's gonna come up that's trying to get into radio somehow, whether they're a personality or maybe a DJ and things like that? Like, what advice do you give that person?
It's tough for me to give advice to people because of the way that I, came on board, especially with this show, and being that this show is now revered, and like a lot of people are like, oh my God, it's 8 in the morning, instead, and I got lucky, like I can't even lie about it. And for me, I guess like the advice I would give is just you really have to know the right people. A lot of people say that and it sounds cliche, but who you know will get you into certain doors that a degree may not. You know what I mean? Because they may overlook the experience for somebody saying like this is a guy that will be helpful or an asset or somebody who can really contribute something to whatever it is, record label or whatever that you're trying to do, and they can vouch for you, and that definitely helps because you come in with a piece of paper that says you took some classes, and they're like, okay, but what experience do you have? So not to say college is not important or valuable, it definitely helps. And so definitely, you just want to make sure that you network with the right people and never burn any bridges. Like, even if somebody does you dirty, and let's say you have an internship that just went bad and nobody really taught you anything, it doesn't mean you should just be like, oh, okay, well, walk out of there with your finger in the air and just be like, yo, screw these people, I'm gonna show them. Don't walk around with a chip on your shoulder. You know what I mean? Just look at every opportunity as a learning experience, whether it was good or bad, because you can always learn from bad experiences just as you can from good experiences. So everything is just the next step, and just always like keep your eye on things. Don't give up. I know that sounds kind of tacky to say too, but as soon as you give up, it might have been right around the corner that opportunity was going to happen. So
it's actually a side story. It's kind of relevant to what you're saying, because when I remember when I was an intern, I was asking a bunch of questions like crazy, like finding out who the program director is and who does this, who does that. It's actually a funny story. I met some guy in Connecticut before. He told me a story about how him and another guy, I'm not gonna say his name, was interns at a radio station, and he was working for free for about 5 years. He got tired of it, so he left. And that guy who was working with him is now a big name, so it definitely tells you hard work definitely pays off. You keep working,
Yeah, I was working here basically for free for a couple of years, and it's hard to work anywhere for free. You know what I mean? And yeah, the experience is valuable, but your experience don't pay the rent.
Right.
So I had to DJ and get my DJ hustle on. When I wasn't working, and just figure out how to manage my time wisely, and just you don't want to get burnt out because you're trying to do so much to cover whatever you're not making with the experience and the opportunity that you have at that time. So you definitely have to have something in place that will cover, if you're living on your own or whatever it is, or if you have somebody that's taking care of you, that's great. But, for me, I joined the show when I was, 31 years old, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to be living in my mom's house or something like that, But you do what you have to do, so there's nothing wrong with that either, you just you got to survive, and it all depends on how bad you want something, you know what I mean? And what are you willing to do, make the sacrifices, and to get where you want to be.
Definitely. I was going to talk to you comedy real quick, right? Because you also do comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So how's that working out for you right now?
Comedy has kind of it started sort of as like a challenge from Sway. It was just like I want to push you into something that you are unfamiliar with and that you might be a little timid about doing, because I always wanted to get on stage and just see, because people are like, oh, you should be a comedian. It's like, well, I can make my friends laugh because I know what they think is funny. But can I make a whole room full of strangers that don't know me, never heard me make a joke before, can I make them laugh with what I think is funny and that sort of thing? So it became a challenge, and I did it. The first time I got on stage was at our comedy show that we do at Caroline's, and went up there. And
I wanted him to come up here and do 5 minutes on stage, and he said no sweat. This is his first time ever doing this. So if he flops, I want y'all to boo him. Give it up for DB, ladies and gentlemen.
You better use a condom if you're taking it. All these broke niggas that be on my. Use the hot boy.
Get that shit off. What kind of fucked up introduction was that? He's my slave. He does whatever it tells. Oh, by the way, we're gonna pass around liquors and everybody's fucking drinking instead of listening to me and shit.
And it's a weird thing with me because I don't have stage fright, but I'm like the worst at being social. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a people person. Like, I can talk when needed to, like when I'm on the air and make jokes and things like that. But if you put me at a party where I don't know anybody, I'll be the guy like, literally just like in the back, you know, just kind of sticking to myself with a drink or on my phone and just like, all right, well, I guess I'll go now. You know what I mean? But when I get on stage, just I don't get, well, I don't know what to say. You know, I don't clam up. So I never had that issue with me. It was just more like, okay, what kind of material am I going to do? So, and then I would do like open mics and things. And Caroline's, they've always been very gracious with letting me come back and, you know, do the open mics or the new talent night over there. And then they let me do a breakout artist night where I did like a 45-minute set. And so that was like another challenge in itself, because when you go from doing 5 minutes here and there to 45 minutes, it's that was like the biggest challenge for me, was like, how am I going to do this for 45 minutes? Because you see people do these specials, you're like, I can do that. Yeah, okay, yeah, try 45 minutes of just like you by yourself, making people laugh and keeping them engaged and entertained with what you're talking about. So but now that I'm doing more stuff with radio, and I was doing a lot of stuff with MTV recently with like TRL, those are the things that are kind of making more opportunities happen. And so comedy has kind of taken a back seat. I mean, I'll still do it if somebody wants me to come like open for them or something like that, but as far as you really have to hustle at comedy. It's not something that you can do leisurely and just kind of like as a side hobby. You can if you want, but if you're passionate about it, you have to like go to show after show after show and travel and do like whatever shows for free, shows at like hood clubs. You got to do shows at wherever you can get booked, because you never know who's going to see you that can, you know, put you on to something else. So I got a lot of friends that are like that, but me, I just like, I don't have that time to just do clubs after clubs and multiple clubs in one night.
Yeah, but you ever thought about taking advantage of social media? Because today's day, people put comedy on IG and things like that. You ever thought about doing that?
I've been asked, like people have brought it up to me. I personally, like I get it. A lot of people have done it and it's worked for them, and they've managed to create these huge platforms and build a following by being jokesters on Instagram or Twitter or whatever it is, going viral. That's just not my style, because it almost seems like I'm just chasing what people have done already, and I've never been about like following trends, or I don't like to wear what people are wearing just because it's cool and in style. I don't like to do whatever's cool on social media because everybody's doing it. You know, I've always been like, I like to do the opposite. You know, if everybody's going this way, I like to go this way and just stick to my own lane. You know what I mean? And create my own cool little things. And I don't really need the validation of millions of likes and followers and all that stuff. Like I post what I post because I'm into it, and you can follow me and enjoy it too. Great. You know, I love to interact with everybody. You know, and I try to respond to every comment and things like that. So that to me is more genuine and authentic than just going around and like pranking people, or like, you know what I mean, like putting a piece of pizza on a string for a homeless guy to chase down the street and just be like, oh, okay, just kidding, here's $1. You know, like that's too much. I just want to like be me and not kind of like go out of my lane and do stuff that's just not who I am.
And you have also a show called Animal Status alongside with DJ Wonder. Can you talk about that a little bit? Yeah, so Animal Status started as a, I don't even know how to technically call it. It was just a duo between me and Wonder with, we used to go out hard. Like, I mean, we still go out now, but it's just our drinking capabilities have kind of calmed down a little bit in our later years, but we used to go out, and every time we would just like rage or just drink excessively, which was pretty much every night. And we just came up with this term, animal status. Like that was the change of like, you know, from the man to the wolf, sort of, after the alcohol gets in the system. And so Wonder got his own mix show, which he decided to call Animal Status. It's just a way of kind of branding what we were doing, you know what I mean? And so we put out remixes and collaborated with different people and things like that under the name Animal Status, and we just never really knew what to do with it. You know, we were like, okay, let's do this because maybe that'll pop off, you know, let's do some music, or let's do some productions, or make some t-shirts and some hats or whatever. So it was always just trying to find something that would stick with people, but never really had like a clear set vision of what to do with Animal Status. So, you know, we would just, any opportunity, we would try to throw the name in there or something, maybe make a party with a flyer, Animal Status, and things like that. And so it started as just a 2-hour mix show, no talking, no interviews. And then over the years, I believe it was this past year when Wonder said, hey, you know, why don't we start doing some interviews just to break it up a little bit, because they bumped the time slot up also. And so he was like, you know, why don't we just throw in some interviews in there as well, just to kind of give it a little bit more life and make it a little bit more fun instead of just straight 2 hours of music and no breaks. So we started doing that, and it's been cool, you know what I mean, just to work with him, you know, because me and him, we
we have the same sense of humor and stuff like that, so we can always just bounce jokes off of each other and whatever guests we're with. And we always wanted to keep it fun and upbeat, not have like the serious discussions, you know, like tell us about your childhood and, you know, your father leaving you. Like, no, we want to talk about like your favorite movie and, you know, have you ever been drunk on tour or something like that. So that's pretty much the basis of the show, the Animal Status show.
Definitely. Now, has success changed people around you?
Nah. Like, some people may, you know, my friends, they look at what I do and the position that I'm in, and they're like, wow, you're living the life. Like, yo, don't forget about us. And it's just like, I haven't even gotten anywhere near to where, like, look at Sway, for example, right? Like, that guy has put in decades worth of, like, you know, hip-hop culture, radio, red carpets, MTV. Like, you could go on forever of the list of accomplishments and accolades. And why so many people look up to him and are inspired by him, and why so many people in the industry, from rappers to actors to anybody who's familiar with him, why they all respect him so much. Like, I haven't even gotten close to touching anything like that, you know. Like, I'm still brand new. I'm definitely fortunate and thankful and appreciative of where I am, but to actually, you know, think that where I'm at now would affect people around me, I don't think it's gotten to that point yet. I think everybody's just kind of happy to see me doing something like this, you know what I mean? That I'm actually not, you know, just wasting a talent, you know, because that's people see that as like, oh, you should have been doing something a long time ago, and, you know, here you are just looking sad to us, you know what I mean, and pitiful. So, I haven't really seen a change. Maybe the only change is people calling me DB instead of, you know, Devin or whatever, so.
Yeah. So working at Shade45, you see people all the time, right? So you ever been starstruck before?
Oh, plenty of times. Like, from the first day I started working here, and I was seeing actors and everything, because I'm such a huge movie fan that like there's a weird sense of like when you never met anybody famous before, whether you're a hip hop fan, movie fan, whatever it is. When you see these people growing up, that you're like, oh my God, it'd be so great to meet this person because I love this movie, or I love this song, or whatever, this album. And there's sort of like a wall, because it's like I'll never meet that person, right? So they're always going to be like the greatest to me, you know what I mean? But then when you meet that person, it makes them sort of more like human in your eyes, and not like this, you know, figure that you thought was just like, you know, bigger than life. And so working here, I had met people before, but being in this environment, it's every day that you see, and it might not even be a guest that's on our show. It could be somebody like walking in the hallway that you were just like, oh shit, you know what I mean? And you never know who's gonna walk by. Like, we've had people pop in on our show, from Whoopi Goldberg to you know, random people just stopping by because they walk by and we're just like, oh, this place looks cool, let me go see what's going on here, you know what I mean? And you were just like what is this person doing here? So I mean, you never know who's gonna stop in, who could be a guest. Like, it's
with Eddie Murphy's too.
That was a big one. Yeah, that was Starstruck goes. That was like one of my like, you know, like, but I couldn't freeze up in that moment. But it was hard because really my inner child was like, ah, you know, Eddie Murphy. And I wanted to like quote every movie that he's in or whatever. And
Boomerang, my favorite movie, by the way.
Boomerang is, yeah, we just had Robin Givens on, and I was talking, I kind of quoted that part when she was making fun of Eddie. She's like, you look at me like my name was Stanley. And yeah, so Boomerang is definitely high up there. The soundtrack too. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I could talk movies all day, so this interview would go off in a whole different direction. But yeah, so Eddie Murphy was a big one. Don Johnson, who we also just had recently, that was like, because Miami Vice was like one of the first TV shows that my mom used to let me watch, and I think that was, if I had to pinpoint a moment where I realized like, oh, I like TV and this film sort of thing, like Miami Vice kind of planted that seed in my head with Don Johnson and Philip Michael Thomas as Crockett and Tubbs.
Definitely. So what are you working on right now?
Right now, what am I working on right now? My brain is mush because we're getting ready to go to Thanksgiving break, and all I can think about is just like being at home, like finally sleeping and everything. But I'm working on TRL. They had me come back for, they do this thing called Fresh Out Fridays. And so I was going there as sort of like their movie on-air contributor, whatever, specialist, expert, whatever you want to name it. And so they're gearing up. They actually just ended their season, so they're gearing up to do the next season. And so I'm working to see what we can bring, because they want me to come back and do more stuff. But we'll see what happens with that once they get back on the air. And then right now, doing a lot of stuff with traveling, doing all these premieres for these movies, which is like, this actually just started because the first one I did was for Dolomite when I met Eddie Murphy, and that was for Netflix.
I seen that movie too. It's a good movie.
Yeah, definitely good, and I'm excited for Coming to America too because it's the same director and Wesley Snipes are going to be in it as well. And so it's kind of one of those things where once you're getting good with these movie companies and these studios, then they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll bring you after this one, bring you out. So it almost goes from like one opportunity to like all your emails are like, hey, you want to fly out to this premiere, you want to come for this and this, that, and then it's like now I have to be selective of what events I can go because I literally flew to California 4 times in 1 month, and 3 out of those times was for premieres, and it was for a day. You know what I mean? You fly out on one day, you go to the premiere, do the event. The next day you might do something, then you go home. And those red eyes from California back to New York, like I was so drained, and I was like, this is awesome. Like I can do another one, And so it's an adjustment because like I've never traveled that much in my life in one short period of time. So yeah, and the award season is coming up, so that's all. They've been sending me screeners and all this stuff. So it's like, I love watching movies, but then when it becomes your job, it's like I don't want to watch another movie for the rest of the year, So it's cool because I would never complain about what I'm doing right now because it's like I get free movies, I get cool stuff sent to me by movie places, and they're like these collectibles and everything, and I get to meet the people that I've admired for so many years, and so there's nothing that would ever change right now.
Definitely. So where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years, I definitely want to be more involved with doing different premiere events for movies and things like that, because now that I'm starting to do more and get more familiar with how things work on that side, because radio and the film industry, even though they can be tied together in some ways, but that's a whole different machine that once you sort of see how it happens, I mean, it's like learning this all over again, but just in a different type of industry. And so I did the first red carpet I did, I was like, where do I stand? Where do I go? Who do I need a camera? Like what? So it's yeah, and it moves so quick because the people come and you see red carpets a million times on TV and you're like, oh, it's so organized and everybody seems cool and calm, but you literally have to just be ready for anything that happens because somebody could come up, be in a bad mood, don't want to talk, but they have to be there. Somebody could come up and be really cool, and so you sometimes they offer you people that you didn't want to talk to, and you just have to think of something to ask them, because they may come up and be like, hey, how's it going, man? Hey, I watch your show, man. How's it going? And you're like, I did not want to talk to this person, and I asked not to talk to this person, but they brought me here anyway. So now you got to be like, cordial and friendly, and sort of be like, yeah, so I saw the movie, and and you got to be ready for anything. So that learning that versus doing radio on air, where it's just you don't even see an audience, you just speak into a mic and just kind of bounce off of each other. I was like, okay, I don't know how Sway does this for so long, with all the red carpets he's done on MTV and all these different award shows and stuff. Like that's a whole nother talent that I haven't unlocked yet. So hopefully I'll be doing more of that. But also I've got some other channels here. I just started with B.O.M.B.S on Channel 51. Doing on-air stuff for them, and so just getting acclimated because that's a whole different. It's the Sirius XM Electro channel, which is a different genre of music, and they have a different audience that they cater to, and so compared to Shade45 where Sway in the Morning lives, and so getting adjusted to the music and some of the artists I may not be familiar with and things like that, and how their channel runs versus how Shade45 runs, and doing some other air checks for other channels, so you may hear me on some other channels. I can't really say anything right now, but yeah, so maybe in 5 years I'll have multiple positions on radio, and we'll see how that works out.
Definitely. So people out there that don't know who you are yet, like what can you tell them about yourself?
Ah, man, let me see. I'm a movie fan. That's number one. Like I'm a geek. You know what I mean? Like I'm not the cool guy who's, hey, do what I do. It's like, nah, I'm a total nerd. I pretty much the 3 main things about me are movies and film. I'm a big collector of just like memorabilia from films, anything that's like related to any movies that I like. I like collecting stuff that's of value. You know what I mean? To me, I like having what you can't just go into a store and buy. So you go in my house and it look like the Hard Rock Cafe in Planet Hollywood like exploded in my crib. Like ridiculous. So I don't know. I might have to do an eBay store or something like that at some point because it's getting hard to walk around. Vinyl, like I collect vinyl because just anything that's rare, limited edition, hard to find, out of print. I like that stuff too, and so yeah, a lot of my earnings go into Discogs.com or Record Store Day's coming up this Friday, so probably gonna be poor. Anything that comes out like Funko Pops and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a couple guys that work here at Sirius that I'm always, hey, did you see the new thing that just came out? Yeah, I'm gonna get that. Yeah, the new NECA thing and this. So I'm just kind of like a big kid at heart. You know what I mean? And might catch me in the theater by myself, just chilling, just with no time to sit around and do anything else. So
I respect. So how can people out there get in contact with you on social media?
You can get in touch with me at It's Really DB everything, Twitter, Instagram. Facebook, yeah, I don't have a SoundCloud because I don't rap and I don't think you want to hear me rap. But yeah, everything at It's Really DB. That's pretty much the easiest way.
And make sure you at Soul Focus Life on social media. There's interviews coming out on soulfocusmedia.com. And before we get out of here, I actually got something for you. The Team Focus shirt, real quick. This is for you right here. You give it to that.
Oh, okay.
And rock it out right here, man. Compliments, y'all. The Team Focus shirt right there, because you definitely focus out here. Y'all here moving, so you gotta get the shirt, gotta show love and all that. And I want people to know out there too, today is Thanksgiving Eve, so the hustle is real, man. So I want to thank you so much for letting
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it for the gift. Thank you for the opportunity.
Respect, man. Thank you for the opportunity, man. It was Team Focus Radio. I'm your host, Soul Focus. Your man DB right here for Sway in the Morning. And we right here, man. Shade45. We out of here. Let's get it. Yeah!
Bridging, I was like, who is that? What are they doing? Whatever. And then I went on and saw some of your work and I liked it. So I was like, yeah, let's do it.
If you don't show that you're hungry, nobody's gonna give you an opportunity.
Just do what you're doing and be good at what you do. And if it's that great, the greats will notice you.
It's all about team focus. I'm with my G, Soul Focus.
You locked in with Team Focus Radio.
Team Focus Radio.
Team Focus Radio.
Team Focus Radio with my boy, Soul Focus.
With Soul Focus.
With my boy, Soul Focus. Get focused, y'all.
Soul Focus Media.